we are using and that things. So here, before going to start ODI, what is the total components that are we are having in ODI part? In Oracle, ODI is nothing but it's a Oracle data integrator. It will be using as a ETL tool, and we can use it as a ELT tool also. So that means like ETL in the sense extracting, transforming and loading the data. Where you are extracting the data from source, you are extracting the data and transforming the data by using the mappings and loading the data into target instance. Here in ODI, in FDME, we are exposing loading the data into target Hyperion products. But whereas in ODI, we can fetch the data from any technology and you can load the data into any technology. From any technology to any technology, you can use this ODI and we can load the data. Here, before going to start this one, we need to have two schemas are required to get into a ODI. One is master repository, another one is work repository. We can call them as master repository and work repository. Master repository is having the information about your total technologies information and security information. Technology information and security information. Whereas work repository will be storing all the development activities, whatever the projects and whatever the development that you are doing, that everything will be stored in the development like work repository. So let us see how to start this one. First you need to get installed your client ODI Studio. So click on ODI Studio. So once you have to connect to the repository. So here you need to establish the new repositories or new connections. So here you need to give any naming convention and username. Normally we will be having supervisor and the password would be synopsis for ODI default user ID and password. And this master repository, you need to get it from your DB team or from here itself you need to create your own master repositories. So master repository and master repository password that you need to have it, and a driver list. If you are using Oracle or SQL, what is the driver that you are using as a database? Here we are using Microsoft SQL, and here we need to give the all the information, JDBC connectivity, JDBC URL. So JDBC WebLogic, SQL server name, host name, port number, and everything that you need to pass it here. And thereafter the work repository will be actually work repository will be associated with master repository. So you may have multiple work repositories under one master repository. Here we are having one work repository under one master repository, so I am going to select that one. See, the development work is different from one work repository to another work repository. You can maintain different developments into different work repositories. Or else if you can maintain all the development into one work repository, you can maintain. It's up to the requirement. You may have multiple work under one master repository, and you may have one under one master repository. And then you get connected. So once you get connected, you will be having like a total four tabs are there. We'll see one by one. One is designer, another one is security, another one is operator, another one is topology. So what it is? Security, you may know about the total security part will be covered here. Operator, what are the activities? The logs information you can check from the operator. Topology, where you can get the connection, where you can give the connections will be established in the operator, in the topology. So another one is like in designer you will be having all the data models and all the projects and interfaces and projects, everything that you can create under the designer. So these are the main tabs which we are being used to to have all the process. So topology navigator will be having the establish the connection, and designer, these two will be using for the development, and this operator will be seeing for the logs, and the security will be checking for the security assignment purpose that we are using. So the steps we can see one by one. So in our requirement, just I am using one requirement, and we will be seeing the setup how we are going to do in ODI. So in my example, in this exercise, we are going to do like loading the data from file to from file. We are loading the data from file to one of the table. That table I am going to be used AF open interface. I am populating the data into AF open interface. I am going to use one file data that I am going to populate on the AF open interface. So source is file and target is table. So in this exercise we can do how we can achieve this one. So here, what is the technology that we require? Here we are having multiple technologies. So first step is create the data server. First step is create the data server. Here my source would be file. Go to file and create the file generic over here and check the JDBC. Everything is defined over here. First, this is the data server, and thereafter you can create the one physical schema under that. Create the physical schema. Right click on here, create new physical schema. So creating the physical schema, here you need to give the path where the file is existed. So let me take the file from my side, Indiana. This I'm going to take Indiana GL is a table. So I'm going to give, okay. I'm going to take this one as my source here directory where the file is there. Okay, so I am giving here. So once you created, then you definitely give the logical schema also. I will explain what is the logical schema and all. So once you created the physical schema, you need to create the logical schema. Logical schema will be associated with the context. Context is nothing but where you are assigning your logical schema connectivity to physical schema. So here just I am going to give file. You can give any naming convention over here. File underscore L. This is logical schema that I have created. This logical schema will be gets created under the logical architecture. So go to technologies, go to file and check that file logical architecture is being created or not. So this logical architecture, I mean this logical schema will be associated with your physical schema information. This is the physical schema information that is associated. What is this physical and logical? Right. So physical schema is nothing but, so here physical schema that you are creating your source connectivity and you are giving the source information. On top of it, you are creating the data server. Data server is nothing but your total connection string details, JDBC connectivity and everything. In physical schema, you are giving your path where you are having the information. So this physical schema will be associated with your logical schema. So this physical and logical both are interrelated. That means that you are not going to touch anything in the physical schema. You are going to work on the logical schema going forward in ODI. Because of this logical schema only, we will be using in ODI itself. This is just you created for file format. Just let us see the same exercise for database. What is the database over here that we are using? We have multiple technologies over there. The database would be Microsoft SQL. So go to the Microsoft SQL as the target. Here you need to create the new data source, create new data server. Just I am saying as FDME target. The naming convention you can give anything. FDME target and username just I am giving as FDME, and you need to give the JDBC connections also. So first you need to provide the JDBC connections, whatever the JDBC connections that we are having. So JDBC connection while giving, it is SQL server and your server name and port number. And username that you need to give that the schema which we are connecting. I mean like here in SQL server we are giving the username. So here we are using the SA is the schema username, and give the password over here. Okay. So you need to give your JDBC connection details about your database, and you need to give your the username and password. Then do the test connection, whether the test connection is successful or not. So successful connection. So if you are not giving the proper JDBC connection, that server name or host name that you are not giving properly, then definitely you will be having the issue. Okay. So you need to test the connectivity, that is fine. Then your source, your target connection has been established as creating as a data server. So under that you need to create the physical schema again. So again you need to create the physical schema. In this physical schema, in this database, we will be having multiple databases again, right? And that user we will be having multiple databases. But what database that I required? FDME. Why? Because you are fetching the table to load the data into AF open interface, right? So for that reason, you should have the work catalog or database would be your FDME. And context, you need to create the logical schema. I mean like here in the context you are creating the logical schema. FDME target underscore logical schema that I am creating over here. Okay, fine. So you can check your database and you have created the logical schema, and you have created the logical schema under Microsoft SQL. It will be get created, right? So you have created your source and target connections. Likewise, you can create as many sources, as many targets. But here another point that you need to remember is here in the logical schema, in this physical schema, you can create the context as many as you require. And this logical schema always here if we are creating like a target underscore, yeah, if you created like this. But if you can use the logical schema as FDME target tel, or if you can use the target tel, both will be referring the same, pointing to the same physical connection only. So whether you can refer any logical schema, the data will be fetched or the data will be loaded into the same target application, means same target database itself only. Database itself only. So you can create the different logical schemas also, but it is referring the same. And you can create the different context also over here. New context, like if you want to create the dev instance, if you want to use, you can create the new context. QA you can create as QA. You can create, and this is available while creating your logical schema. So now if you want to create new one, in the drop down, let me refresh. Here you can see the context now dev and QA. So you can create different dev instance, you can use this one, QA instance you can use different one, and production you can use different one if you are using the same instance. Okay, so we have created this one as dev. So you can create another physical schema you can create under that. Say for example, just I am creating the same with the different name. Let me create. So you have created this one. Okay. So this one I am going to create with QA. So you are creating this one as with QA. So likewise you can create different things, and this one will be created under QA1 context. So the connection between your physical and logical will be getting created based on the context which you are creating. So if you are having dev and QA in one environment, that you want to maintain both of them in one instance, then you can define like different context like QA and dev. Then you can establish the connection between your source and target. Okay. So this is the way that you can manage your topology. Here, these are two things are there. One is physical schema, another one is logical schema. So before going to physical schema and logical schema, first you need to create the data server. And the data server, you need to create the physical schema. For physical schema, you need to create the context. So context will be referring your logical schema. So logical schema you can go and check in the logical architecture. Likewise, you can create as many as physical and logical connections you can establish based on the requirement that you need to start the data load process. Okay. Any questions on this topology manager? Any questions over here? Subhakar, what is the user ID and password for SQL Server? Here the same, SCA is the user ID and password is what I have given to you. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
SCA mean like this is SCA is the login. If password which I have given the password, that is the same one.
Okay.
Databases ODI. So ODI tables that you can see here, ODI, you can see all the tables which are started with SNP. So SNP is the tables which are predefined tables in the ODI itself. We don't do any changes on it. It will be directly created over there. Okay, fine. Then once you created your source connections and target connections, then the next step would be you need to create the models, data models. Here I am going to create one of the data model that is like FDME target. FDME target. So here you need to take the technology. Which technology that we are going to work? Microsoft SQL Server. So here I am going to take the logical schema. I have multiple logical schemas, but which logical schema that I am going to take? Target logical schema. Okay. The action group is generic that you can take. And here what we are doing is we are taking our one of the table that we are bringing into ODI instance. Select reverse engineering. So here what kind of reverse engineering that we are going to do? Standard reverse engineering. What kind of tables that you are going to take? Only table. I am not going to take view or Q or system tables. I am not going to take anything. Okay. Which table that you want to take? AF underscore open. Because of if you are not going to give the filter, it will be showing all the tables which are having in the FDME database. Click on here and check the table which is existing. This table is existing in FDME database. Now I am doing the reverse engineering and I am going to get into ODI itself only. Here you can see expand this data new model, then you can find the AF open interface and you can find the all the columns over here into FDME to ODI, right? So you are bringing your do the reverse engineering and you got your target table. Fine. In the same way, you need to fetch the new data model from your source file also. New data model. I'm going to take file source. So technology is file L. Okay. So you don't have to do the reverse engineering because of it's a file, but file doesn't have any information, right? You can't do the reverse engineering. What we need to do is in file format you can create the new data. I mean like new data source here itself you need to create and create the columns and all. So let me go and create the columns over here. So new data store that you need to create. Here data store that is being created automatically when you do the reverse engineering. Data store is nothing but a table. Okay, data store is nothing but a table that you have taken up from FDME database. Now for this data model, you need to create the data store. Why? Because here itself, the file is not having any data. We need to create the columns from the file, right? So creating like file source, and now I'm going to give the file format. It's a delimited format or fixed with or delimited, and tab or other. What is the file it is having? Like it is a comma delimiter. So you can define the comma delimiter. It is MS-DOS only. And go to columns. Here I am going to create the columns. What is the source one? So mean column one is like account or ICP. Type is like string. Column 2 is description and string. And column 3 is like amount you can take. And I'm going to take a string only. So you need to define the columns which are already been there. Just I'm going to refer them and I'm going to take it as values over here. Okay. So here what I'm doing is you are defining your files, what kind of file it is and what is the definition, what is the columns and all there, what we are having, I am defining over here. Fine. Your source is there and your target is there. But here you may ask, I mean, what is like new data model and what is there? So if you want to create the new data model, you can create, I'm saying like data load model, just I'm creating, save. So if you want to have one project information, everything that you want to keep into data load process, you can keep into that data model folder. That folder itself is having the information about your source and target, which is having, right? Let me delete. Right here, I am one of the project that I am doing. My all the source folders and target folders will be having in one of the model folder. In that model folder, you can create the new models, main like for source and target. And the source and target will be having the data stores. Those data stores are nothing but your tables. And these tables, if you want to put any filters or any conditions, then you can create the new filters and then you can do all the filter information. Then here itself what kind of operators that you want to create and all of them, then you can create and apply the logic over there on the filters, what kind of data that you want to give it, and you want to create any constraints like new key, foreign key or unique key or alternate key that you want to create, you can create them. Apart from your default system keys, if you want to create, you can create them. So these are the parameters which we are using if you want to do modifications on top of your database tables. Okay. So once you do all the changes in your data models, then I'm just creating, we need to create the new project. So new project that I'm going to create here, that I am saying like data load, data underscore load project I am creating. Once you created the project, system automatically creates some folders in it. So expand this one. You can see the first folder, variables, sequentials, user function, knowledge modules, and markers that it's been created. So the first folder itself is having the packages, interfaces, and procedures will be getting created. So just we are going to work on first one is we can see the interface. What is interface? Interface will be getting created, the will be giving the information or will be giving the information from source to target how you are going to load the data. Right click and click on new interface. So just I am going to use as a data load only for all of them. Interface. So here in this interface what we need to do is in the mapping column you need to take your source information and target information from where you are going to drag and drop. So you are going to take your target would be AF open interface, drag and drop in the target column, and file that you are going to take file source, drag and drop into your source column. Okay. So you have given your source column and target column over there. Okay. So once you have defined your source column and target column, then you need to do the mappings. So I'm going to map my account mapping, account column that I'm going to map into one of the column. Column 1 I'm going to take it as column 1, I'm going to take it as account. I will tell you why it is going to account and everything. Description, I don't require the description field in my open interface, and I'm going to take amount I'm going to take it as the amount column, and I'm going to map into amount YTD also. Okay, fine. So what is the batch name that you want to give? Here in the quick edit you can see all the information and in detail, like sources, whatever the source that you are having, and if you are having any lookups you can use the lookups tab, or else joins. I mean here I am going to use one of the table only. In real time when like you will be having like 3 or 4 tables or 5 tables also it's required. For all of them you need to refer the joins is the joining to fetch the data. So there itself you can put the joins over there. Filter conditions, like you don't require the zero values or you don't require some of the data, then you can put the filter conditions by adding a and amount field that you want to add some filters, and you want to give like where the file amount is not equals to 0, that you want to put the conditions, then you can write the conditions on over here. Okay, so likewise you can put all the conditions. So here while loading the data into HFM in AF open interface, you can give some batch name over there. I am going to give batch name as string BHFM application location data load, that I am going to use BHFM data load. So the execution would be on target only. So which year that you want to load, that I am saying like 2016, and period I am saying like some June. Just I am hard coding these values, but in real time we will be taking like dynamic values. June, and I'm going to say as 6. So this data I am going to be populated on AF tables. Select from AF underscore open interface. We can execute. There is no data. So what we are doing in this exercise is we are going to populate the data which is file. That data I am going to populate on this table. Thereafter we can do the FDME process, how to load the data from open interface to HFM application. That exercise we'll see later. Okay. First what we are doing is we are populating the data into AF open interface. How we are going to populate. So this is my all exercises, or I mean like all the information that I have provided from my source to target. Then you need to think about here flow diagram. So this flow diagram will be giving the information about your knowledge modules. So here I am having like IKM, LKM, and this JKM knowledge modules. But here nothing has been imported. Just I am going to import the knowledge modules. So I need to check the path. Yeah. Here you can see the path is like Oracle product. I will show you that one. Just a moment. Oracle product client. So here in this like Oracle product, Oracle ODI 1 and Oracle ODI XML reference. These are all XML references will be having all your knowledge modules information. Just you need to import what knowledge module that we require. So here I am going to take only file to Oracle. That knowledge module I am going to take it up. Load knowledge modules. JKM, LKM, LKM. File to SQL, file to Oracle. File to SQL. That I am importing the LKM now. So these are the three things, mean a file to SQL that I have imported, file to Oracle that I have imported, and if you want to import file to LKM, file to Oracle, is there another one? Okay. Then another one is IKM, integration knowledge module. So you are inserting the data into some target tables, then we need to use the IKM, integration knowledge modules. IKM. If you are having incremental update, you can use incremental, or control append is there. IKM SQL control append, just it is updating the data. SQL control incremental update if you want to go for that. Okay, so I'm importing only few of them. So now what is my intention is, so here itself we are loading the file data into a target table. So just I'm going to use some intermediary schema over there. So as I said, we can use this one as ETL tool. What is the context? Okay, we see. So here we are using like ETL tool or ELT tool, I said, right? So how it is going to be happen? If you can see in the flow diagram, if you are taking a separate schema by using here overview, if you are saying like staging area different from target, then it will be working as a ETL tool. Transformation is doing some separate staging schema. If you are not doing the staging schema, if you are not taking, then your flow diagram will be different. Your staging schema will be getting created in target dimension. It means target instance itself only, target schema. So that means like you are having like your target schema is using as a staging, and transforming will be done in your target schema. So there is no need of for transformation schema is required. So it will be working as a ELT. Load the data into schema itself target, and thereafter transformations will be taking care. Okay. So that's what we can say. This is like ETL tool as well as ELT tool also will be working. So just here itself, you need to give the property inspector. Here you need to give like LKM file to SQL. The data will be loaded into here, and then here itself you need to give the integrations SQL control append the interface. Here we need to have some properties over there. So insert is true, or target commit is true, and flow control means we are whether you want to mean like want to have the data will be loaded or not. That you need to put it as flow control. And once the data loaded, after that the next time when you are going to load the data, it will be truncate, delete. Likewise, we will be having some options are there. So based on that options, you need to give the information for that integrations, how you are going to load the data into target. Okay. So once you have given this one, six, save. Okay. Your interface has been created. So this interface mean like it will be giving the information like to create the data from your source to target. Just let us check whether it is working properly or not. Is there any issues or not? So run this one from here. So here we are having agent information. I will explain later on. So first check with agent. So where we can check this one, we can check in the operator and check the logs from here. It's getting failed. So what is the issue? Check that issue over here. What it is saying? C ODI file source. Fails on the source file connection, file generate, file not found. So what we had given like file name is file source, but the file is not there, right? So we need to create them, the file name, data store name, we need to create them as, so we need to go back to designer and go to source, and what is the name that you are giving as the file source. Here you are giving the resource name as file source. Just go to ODI. Just I am going to change my source name as Indiana GL, and I'm going to change my file name as Indiana GL. Save all and then run again. So how just I am giving like why, because you need to check the issues. How we are going to check, that's what giving this information. And check. Again you need to check if you are having any issues. Fields Indiana GL. Just a moment. File. What is the connection that we had given here? Let me create new data server. Then fine, let me create, let us see if there is an issue, let us see. There is some other step. That step was success, then we are having some other issue. Error converting data type varchar to numeric. Did you identify this one? Where we have done this one? So this is like due to your source connection, mean like you have given your file source. What is the file source that we had given the columns? Here it is amount is in string, right? So I am converting this data type into a numeric. So the file is identified and error converting data type varchar to numeric. So what we are going to, how to fix this issue? This fix issue, you need to go and check this one as numeric data type. Let us see, does it fix the issue? It is not a specified column or parameter specified column precision 50 is greater than the maximum precision of 38. Okay, that issue is fixed. Description might be 100 more than maybe the physical lab. TME target is saying like resume is 38. Okay, what the payload mapping that I had given? Let me check here. Mapping account is there. File amount, account, credit. Delimiter is comma only. I think is there height. Okay, I will check this one. I will fix this issue. Database to this time just I am going to check like file to SQL, and the next one is I need to prepare one source as table, separate table I would like to create, and we can see this table to table, mean like SQL to SQL also, how we can set up the data load process, that we'll see that one also. Once this is process is done, then we can go back to FDME and we can start the data load process from there also. We can do that by tomorrow. I mean, I can fix this issue and we can that exercise by